We just got 6 new leaks for episode 9, which started with this first post not only detailing multiple new leaks, but also an early leaked audio for part of the episode 9 soundtrack. And starting with the actual leaks themselves, we were given this image that showed Jack seemingly falling deeper into the cellar while surrounded by multiple abstracted beings. A similar shot to the original cellar scene we were shown back in the pilot episode, only how do we know if this new scene is meant to be legit or not? Well, it turns out this same concept of Jax ending up at the bottom of the cellar in the first place has already been teased for us secretly by one of the show's voice actors behind the scenes. You see, a few short weeks ago, Jax's Spanish voice actor released an audio clip shortly before taking it down again that was described by Digital Circus fans as Jax crying and coughing. Only on top of this detail, fans were able to point out the fact that the audio also had faint water sounds specifically in the background. But what do water sounds have to do with the idea of Jax potentially being at the bottom of the cellar? Well, it turns out water sounds were exactly what was said to be the main sound typically heard from the cellar in the first place. As going back to the cellar's original appearance in the pilot, we were shown how the caption during this scene specifically mentioned water lapping as well as eerie low rumbling. On top of this, we can physically see the water itself on the very bottom here. The water sounds from the Jax audio leak possibly mean Jax is in the cellar because it has water on the ground, right? Connecting to the idea of Jax having some sort of meltdown in the show's finale, resulting in a potentially similar scene to exactly what we were shown in this new leak we were given. But how do we know for sure to potentially be expecting this sort of scene in episode 9? Well, based on Jax specifically being highlighted in episode 9's early previews as feeling heavy emotions, as well as isolating himself from the rest of the circus members, essentially what we see in this image here, we know there's a possibility for something huge to happen to his character definitively. We were even told by one of the show's voice actors, specifically the voice actor for Kane, how episode 9 would essentially have Jax's biggest moments from the entire show. We know something huge and potentially dark is already set to happen with him here. Only our next leak was a different story, as we were additionally shown an image highlighting a clearly very distorted effect put on some text in the middle here, with this lower text having all of the letters to spell circus despite them being slightly rearranged. And while the top text isn't nearly as prominent or easy to read, we know it likely spells out digital, as this first group of text was textured just like the text from the Digital Circus's official logo. But why would the show's logo be shown to us here in such a strange, distorted way with a checkered pattern? And what was the image meant to potentially tell us about episode 9? Well, it turns out this actually isn't the first time we've seen this same sort of distorted checkered pattern like this. It was the same sort of effect we originally saw at the very end of episode 8. Something that began breaking apart the circus while glitching continuously, matching together with what we were also able to see in this alternate view of our new potential teaser image. Only the fact that we were even given a slightly different alternate angle of the teaser in the first place tells us that for this to be possible, it would have to connect to an actual moving scene of the show. A potential brief Digital Circus finale, intro, or outro scene that we were told had an unsure role in episode 9 if it ends up being involved in some way. Only our next leak has a much bigger potential role in the next episode of the show, as we were also shown this image of Pomni with a sort of emotional look as she enters a very strange looking room. Presumably a sort of exit to the Digital Circus that the circus members have been looking for the entire time. But how do we know if this image is meant to be legit or not? Well, besides the possibility of this scene in particular matching together with what we could potentially be expecting for the finale in the first place, as the concept of an exit has been foreshadowed the entire time, we also know that the specific effect put on this image in the first place actually looks familiar. The distorted sort of effect popped up before with the release of this previous episode 8 leak, a sort of cafe scene, only in the case of this first one, we know it actually ended up being legitimate after all. The cafe scene did end up popping up in episode 8 shortly after the scene was released to the public, pointing to the idea that the same thing could be going on in the case of this newer leak. We know that the very layout of this image already matches together perfectly with our previews we were given for episode 9, with bits and pieces of the void being utilized for both, only this image still appears slightly different. A new looking exit that we've clearly never seen in the show before, pointing to the possibility of it actually being the real exit after all. Only before getting to our other new images, we were also given a suspicious music leak that fans have discovered linked to the show's creator herself, Gooseworks. Gooseworks, what is this? Which went along with a post of her music page that showed off a new specific track called Your New Home. Only something in particular stuck out about this new track as different from Gooseworks' usual tracks. It was suspiciously only said to have been discoverable on her Spotify, as Digital Circus fans have checked her other pages without being able to find it for some reason. Could this be the leaked outro for the final episode? As we know that on top of the suspicious nature the track had, it was described as sounding very cinematic. If it's a spoiler for episode 9, then either it plays when something so unbelievably happy happens, or a moment where Kinger has a horrible realization about something, going along with the idea that some fans noticed a similarly sounding track from the ending of the pilot episode, pointing to the idea of the show finally coming full circle music-wise by ending the show off with a similar sounding track for the finale. Only we were additionally given this next leak that was said to have been potentially linked to something much bigger in the next episode. Is this real or an April Fool's joke? Which went along with this sort of behind-the-scenes image that highlighted what appeared to be an early scene sketch of Pomni and Jax. Only with the bottom text of the image reading, "Goodbye Pomni, I'm sorry," the only real conclusion to be drawn here was the idea that one of the two characters, either Jax or Pomni, likely wouldn't be escaping the Digital Circus after all. Something that linked together perfectly to this other potential leak we were given earlier of Pomni escaping the circus by herself with a sort of emotional look. She potentially knows that some of the other circus members have no choice but to stay behind. Only our final early spoiler for the episode was even more important. On top of these earlier leaks, we were also given what was said to be a new secret message released by Glitch, spelling out what we're meant to actually see happen in episode 9 in the first place. It turns out Digital Circus fans were able to find this secret message all the way back in episode 5. You see, during episode 5, there was a very specific scene where we heard one of the circus members, Bubble, make a very particular noise that stuck out as strange. Only it turns out there was more to this strange sound than we first realized. We were told that when slowing the sound down, it was able to be translated into this, going along with a line of Morse code. But what did this Morse code mean, and what would it tell us about the next episode of the Digital Circus? Well, it turns out I'm able to put together everything we're told about the situation for you early into this video right here. So for what we know about the grand finale before its release, make sure to check it out.